Oh shit! I don't know about you, but I never get tired of that song. I wasn't gonna stream tonight. I wasn't. I wasn't going to stream tonight. Allergies attacking my head, antibiotics and allergy meds making me tired. Blah blah blah. Whining, horse shit. Commissar, shut the fuck up and just talk about something interesting. Um, so, um, the coffee's cold. Who's responsible? Anyway, I couldn't decide on a cozy game to play for Comm's Cozy Corner, and so I decided just chatting was in order. Um, what does that have to do with that sound? I have no idea. I really don't. It's just it happened. It was spontaneous. The moment was there, and now it's gone. Yeah, so just chatting and talking about something somewhat somewhat biggish in the commissar world, which is of no consequence whatsoever, really, because I'm nobody very important, and I'm certainly not the center of anybody's universe, and but it is a sort of a big thing with me. I am destined to spend a great deal of time in a video game that is, shall we say, sort of became a big deal over the past 14 years. Could that be right? Jesus. Let me look up the actual number on that. Uh, it's probably not that long. Uh, um, well, technically since 2013, so 13 years, I guess, something like that. Anyway, um, so this thing, this game thing, has now become the according to world records, the largest crowd-funded thing in the world's history, which recently reached 1 billion crowd-funded. Yes, $1 billion crowd-funded. The game that I'm talking about is Star Citizen. It's the brainchild of the guy that created Wing Commander, some of the older flight games. Um, my late son Asa and I were original investors. He actually had an account that I had to settle after he died. He was a big believer in this, and so was I. And me being a sci-fi person and a lover of all things sci-fi and Star Trek and Star Wars, from the time that I was very little, I uh, always had the dream of being in the captain's chair of a large ship and adventuring in space with my friends. And Star Citizen has been the one great promise that would be possible. Believe it or not, in video games, it's very difficult to have a bunch of people connected from different places in the world, all on the bridge of one ship, and traveling about doing combats, going to different star systems, and things like that. It's actually immeasurably difficult to make that all happen and for it all to work in symmetry. One of the first games to even partially pull that off was a game called Star Wars Galaxies, where Mr. Kai, for what it's worth, Sir Commissar, you're one of the stars that brightens. But oh, geez, Mr. Kai, oh, geez, this community, you guys shower me with compliments, I don't feel worthy. Um, I always appreciate all of you, and I do hope that you all realize that I am no better than anyone. I'm no better than the common beggar, as I always say, and you know, I certainly never think that I'm any better than any of you. Um, I'm just a guy who made plenty of mistakes, and along the line, I started learning from them. But thank you, Mr. Kai. Thank you very much. And and you've all seen that I am now mod for a couple of different people in our communities, and I want you to know that no matter who I'm modding for, um, I'm not just there for the streamer. I'm not. I am there because of and for the community. Um, I am not a person who was blessed with good genetics, and by no means have I been promised anything close to a long life. It's just not going to happen unless some amazing medical miracles come along. Um, and that's okay because I'm a person who has twice over outlived my son, who was the center of my universe. But with what time I have, I have become more and more conscious about what I'm choosing to do with it, and who I'm choosing to spend it on, and why, and what for, you know. Um, and there's in this community, I have found a really warm and wonderful group of people. Not all of them, of course, but like any big family, I suppose. You have your you have your good apples, bad apples, strange apples, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not being disillusioned on any level. I realize I've not really met any of you in real life, and that kind of connection is really essential to be, you know, super close with anyone. But while I do recognize that, while I do realize that, I also recognize that there is really good people by every appearance I can be given via our virtual connections, which is almost all I have with what little family is even alive anymore. Um, and just like I talk and connect with them, I talk and connect with all of you. And and for many people in the world today, that's all that we have. Look at the economy and where it's gone. And I've listened to friends talk about trying to travel and see family members and connect with people that they love to see in the flesh, and they just can't anymore. They can't. Um, People have had to scatter across the United States and just go where they could afford to live, and so our connections have I almost dare to say dwindled down to what we have now, which is this kind of connection that I have with who I'm talking to right now, a virtual one. And at least it's a voice, at least it's a face, at least it's some sort of connection in a world that seems determined to deprive us of anything more than that. Um, anyway, uh, kind comments sidetracking me, which is perfectly fine. Um, but getting back to the topic at hand that I thought I would just jump on and talk about, which is I have a big future in the game Star Citizen, and it is very invested in. Um, Back when I first uh, got declared disabled by a federal disability judge, senior federal disability judge. Um, uh, at the time, California was making people wait 4 years, 3 to 4 years, even even with doctor supporting letters, even with complete inability to hold down a regular job, whatever the case, almost everyone was forced to wait 3 to 4 years before they could even begin to get disability that they had paid into their entire lives. So by the time I got it, they had owned me. They had owed me some back time, and so I got a fairly large check up front, which was good because I'd been living on $300 a month, staying with friends. That's all that I had to live on. It was pretty bleak for a while, which was a tough time after Asa had just died. Um, but so I got a pretty big check up front, and one of the things I decided to do after I paid off all medical bills and all debts that had been waiting and things like that, um, um, Star Citizen had come along. Asa and I had talked about it a lot and the incredible things that it was attempting to do, and we both decided to invest in it. Uh, and I had put little chunks in when I could to just like donate a little bit to the project, and none of us had any idea it was going to take so long. Trust me. Um, and so one of the things I elected to do was make a bigger investment in Star Citizen by purchasing an in-game ship, a large one, for myself and the real life friends that Asa used to game with and I used to game with, and so that we could all be one family on one starship traveling the universe someday. I had no idea it was going to be 13 years later. No one thought that at the time. And then other people chipped in a little bit to help with that, with the purchase of that ship. And you may be wondering, what the hell are you talking about, the purchase of a ship? The way that Star Citizen has funded itself is by the sale of virtual starships. But with the virtual starships comes a certain amount of insurance, which means that in the future, when you're using your ship and it gets exploded, what happens? Um, the game has um, an enduring wearability to it, I guess you could say, where if your ships or your items or whatever get destroyed, you have to earn in-game money to replace it. So what they did with these donations, where you got a ship with it, you also got a massive amount of insurance. So some of the ships that you donated pledged for actually had a lifetime insurance, and that made it so for the lifetime of your account or that ship, you never had to do anything in game to get it back, pay the insurance on it, or whatever the case may be. But really, it was about the donations, and people have gotten very, very upset with Star Citizen because they're like, "Wow, you've taken 13 years to produce this game. You haven't even produced the single player game, and you keep making these ships to sell people, and you've made $1 billion. What's going on?" And even I have gotten a little bit cross about that. One thing that made me even more upset was in the beginning when things were still smaller. When I called to settle the account when Asa passed away, I had to figure out what to do with his account, and I had to present the folks at Star Citizen with his death certificate, and then shuffled his account over and merged it with mine. They wanted me to write a bio on Asa because their intention was to do something special for Asa in the game Star Citizen, a dedication of some kind. In the beginning, it sounded like a lot of promises. As time has gone on, and it became the enormous thing that it has, um, my responses and checking in on that have become less encouraging. And now it's just kind of busted down to, well, we're just going to try to do a dedication. And it was a very different line of conversation than it was in the beginning. I've tried not to let that discourage me as well. And that certainly can be a discouragement. Um, and let me check something real quick just to make sure that I am still, because I didn't check. Blah. Sorry. One moment. I'm on antibiotics and sinus or allergy medicine and poking along. Yeah, everything is on the right. I was worried that it chose the wrong microphone again because I moved the laptop from the main room to this room. Anyway, um, so I tried not to get discouraged about that as well. But I've hung in there. I've hung in there, and I play every so often. The game, they have made the game playable, even though it hasn't even done early release yet. There is a playtest universe where you can go and you can play in whatever state it's in. Um, and so, I have. And I've had some great adventures in there. To be honest, I've had hundreds of hours with flight sticks and a fighter, learning to be a fighter pilot, even though that wasn't my end goal for Star Citizen. Um, and I'm sorry, let me get caught up on chat. I struggle with connecting with others in person. I take a while to open up, and most people don't stick around enough for that to happen. And Mr. Kai, it's it. I wouldn't blame yourself too much on that one. Um, the the social side of the world today is such a different place than what it used to be. Um, it's very, very different now than it was even 20, 30, definitely 40 and 50 years ago. Um, in the world before the internet, um, people talked to each other. And things weren't perfect back then either. But um, we weren't, we were more acclimated to it, and now we are not. And this isn't to minimize what you said. Whatever reasons you have for um, struggling to connect with people in person, you're far from alone. Um, but you're also a unique person with your own reasons for that being the case. And no matter what, it's all okay. It's all fine. Um, it's very, very common now, and and you also don't hunker on social media like most people now. Twitch and Discord are basically all use. And yeah, I got to be honest. That's very much where I am now. I don't post very much on social media anymore. I tried for a while. I got very frustrated with it. I watched my friends turn into absolute people that I thought were my friends. People with brains in their head turn into absolute idiots over our social issues and the pandemic and so many things that we've had happen and just treat each other with outright hate because of their own fears. And I actually eliminated my original Facebook account of 11 years. Just deleted it. Gone. And then I didn't make another one until I was absolutely sure that it could keep all political drama out of my face via filters or whatever else. But even though I have Facebook and Instagram, and that is only to keep connections with some of my friends my age and sadly some people who have passed. Um, for a while that was my only connection with them because that was the only people move around so much and I would lose or they wouldn't keep the same email address or they'd change their phone number and the only connection I had with some of them was social media but I barely use it anymore. um, but I hear you, and I hope that it starts to go the other way. One thing I absolutely would love to do in my time, however much longer I'm in the world, this needs to happen. I want to meet as many of you as possible at a TwitchCon or some public social event, somewhere where we can all feel safe meeting someone in the flesh for the first time. Um, I think it's so important. I think it's really important, and I hope that happens. I really do. Yes, we do reach each other on this medium, this one right here, Discord, Twitch, whatever. and I hope to get closer with some of you in that way, video calls and chatting with real voice and things like that. But ultimately, I would just love to meet as many of you as possible in real life, and in a place where we could all enjoy it. Um, well, sort of. Elof. Sort of. Yeah. And well, I called it just chatting, so anything goes almost. Um, but yeah, the world as it is today, and I don't like to toot my own horn, but one thing I have been good at is staying very modern thinking and very modern minded, without the negatives, and still being a very open minded person, and realizing that my views aren't the only views, and my problems aren't the only problems that people have. I am only one of billions, and each person being a unique individual life form, despite how boring they might want to be, or I don't know. The truth is that I'm truly in no position to tell anyone else how to live, how to be, that my ideas are better than theirs, or blah blah blah. Um, yeah. Now, all that being said, all that being said, um, we all have a, in general, social deficiency that has been reinforced by social media. What we think real news is, what we think real worthy topics of conversation are, what we accept as the truth, what we believe. There's too much of it that is sourced from something that has no right to be a valid source of anything. A 5-second clip of something doesn't tell you a story that is probably a novel. And so many factors in why we are socially diffused, socially lacking. There's so many reasons for it all, and we have to we have to at some point acknowledge that. Um, we have to at some point, and there is quite a wave actually right now of people who are starting to see. They're starting to see that social media, Facebook, Instagram, is very, very far from real life, and what we should be believing and taking as truth, and how we should live, and how we should look, and how we should feel. Um, one of my I don't put a lot of stock in celebrities unless I meet them, and I have met a few. But too many people put stock in celebrities and how they want to be, or what's cool, or blah blah blah. But I will say that one of my favorite celebrities became Selena Gomez, because during an interview she said quite plainly, and I don't know if it was because she just got tired of the whole Hollywood celebrity expectations, or that she got an autoimmune disease that really affected her. Whatever the case may be, the interviewer said to Miss Gomez, so if you were to say anything to young girls today, what would it be? And she immediately said, turn off social media. So this was a celebrity that made a fair amount of her fortune as a result of, or due to, social media. And she immediately says, turn off social media. And then that's telling. That's telling, and it was very inviting. It was very, I love to hear that. And more and more people are finding out that some of their favorite celebrities are people that don't spend as much time on social media as they might think, and it's interesting. So there is a bit of a wave where people are getting a bit tired of social media as well, And I don't want to have any. I refuse to have any kind of an old guy point of view. I can't. I'm too forward thinking. I can't do it. Um, I don't want to get stuck in any certain ways. I always want to be going forward. And as such, I see, that there are a fair amount of people now that are quite justifiably wanting to go away from doom scrolling and being on social media. It's starting to become apparent that it's not exactly where we want our kids' minds to be, where we want our minds to be. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. And I'm not saying, oh, social media is horrible, it's bad. I believe just like AI, just like any other thing that we have created, it has its place, it has its function. It has a usefulness, and it has done some good things. But like with so many things that we create as humans, we allowed things to go the way of money and corporate leaning and what makes people buy what, and we allowed it to get out of control. And now we just got to dial it back a little bit. That all came from me getting involved in chat. And I was in the midst of explaining the whole Star Citizen thing. Um, so let me toggle back to that for a moment. Let me waddle back to the topic of Star Citizen. Um, in the future, should I live long enough, and they've actually released the game in its most playable state, and everything comes together, and my plans all conglomerate into what I'm hoping they will, I will be spending an extensive amount of time in Star Citizen. Not an unhealthy amount of time, but an extensive amount of time in Star Citizen being a starship captain with people that I care about in my crew, hopefully a bunch of people from our community, and then they can get to meet my real life friends that have been waiting to jump into Star Citizen when it's in its more playable state. Um, Adventuring in a universe that is truly vast. I don't. There's a way of explaining Star Citizen to people that don't quite understand uh, the depth. Okay, over these past 13 years, they have literally had to create technology to make possible what I'm about to explain. When you have played other video games, and we have some expanse video games, you've seen me play Dune Awakening. Massive maps. And you go to another massive map, and there's a moment where you have to load the next instance and go to the next big place. Okay? Or, or GTA 6, huge, right? The size of a city, right? Explorable, playable size of a city. But you go into a building and you load that building and it becomes a separate instance. It stops, it loads the new instance, you play that, you leave, you come back, you load the instance back out into the outside world. Okay. Now imagine a place the size of a solar system with no instancing whatsoever. And I mean no instancing at all. You are standing on a space station and you look down at a planet. Let's say you use a telescope. You use a telescope and look down at the planet. It is a real virtual distance between you in that space station. We're talking tens of thousands to sometimes millions of kilometers in distance. You're looking at a telescope at the surface of that planet, and your friend is on a ship on the surface of that planet. He leaves the surface of the planet and starts flying up towards you in the space station. He is traveling however many meters per second. and you are watching him fly towards you. He, if he had the ability to, could stand watch you watching him from the space station. And the travel between him on the planet's surface to you is all in real virtual distance, which is an odd thing to say, in real time. And you're both seeing each other at the same time, regardless of where you're connected in the world. And that whole expanse is traveled and closed with no instancing whatsoever. But as if that was not enough, you can go from one planet to another. It's all real time. Every planet in that solar system, every sector, every quadrant. But as if that was not enough, there are wormholes which can be traversed to a different solar system. So, in essence, what the game is trying to create is an uninstance, massive, galaxy scale play area. And thus far, they have succeeded. Is it buggy? Yes, it is. Is it sometimes frustratingly unplayable? Yes, yes, it is. But I can tell you, I have been on a starship with friends having a massive combat with a squadron of pirates. We are all connected from different places in the world or different places in the country, all firing weapons, all talking to each other, all living the space adventure in real time. And the space combat is fairly decent these days. It's realistic. It works. But beyond all of that, you're also talking about ships taking damage in real time and people having to now fix that damage. Or maybe you're on an adventure with your friend or some friends and you're doing a huge cargo run. And one person is doing this thing over here, another person is doing this thing over here. One person is gathering cargo, one person is offloading cargo, another person is scanning for the next place to go. You're all having this in-game adventure of being massive truck drivers or whatever you'd like to call it. It's all in real time, all working together seamlessly. Still a little buggy at times, but it works. If you go to one of the larger space stations, you'll see NPCs walking around, and they all have jobs. They're all doing things. They're all acting differently. They're all, we're talking thousands and thousands of NPCs. When you get down on a planet's surface, imagine something, I don't know, maybe 4 to 5 times the size of Los Angeles, that's so large in the virtual sense that you have to get on public transportation to get from one part of the city to another, and it all happens in real time. And there's no instancing with any of that. And when you get there, the PCs that were doing the NPCs that were doing things are still doing those things, and they're still going about their day. And so that's, in a nutshell, Star Citizen. Not to mention that the graphics are devastatingly beautiful. The water effects are incredible. The physics of travel on each of the planets. There are weather states. If you drop a can of soda in a place on the planet's surface and then you leave for a couple of days and come back, unless the wind or weather or someone has come and moved that can is still there. Persistence is real. Base building is already, I think base building is done, they just haven't implemented it yet. Crafting, piracy, all manner of different quests to do in all manner of different places in the playable universe. Yes, it's that big. Yes, all that is possible. Yes, you can actually do it all. And it all runs 24/7, 365, or very close to. um, and it's all seamless interaction between you and whoever else, regardless of where they're connecting from, Asia, Europe, whatever. Yeah, and currently uh, they have it all set for the playtest universe. It is separated out into different servers, zone servers, and it allows up to I think they're up to 100 and I wish I could remember, a lot of players per server. It started small. It started like 50 people per server. Now it's very large, and of course, by the time the game releases, it's going to be some astronomical number of people on each Star Citizen server in an instance galaxy-sized playfield, basically. Um, so anyway, I'm so sorry. Let me get caught up on chat. The only social media I incorporate into my daily life are Twitch and Discord because I use them to actually socialize with people. Yes, good point. They are much more direct methods of doing so. Can't understand the appeal of just viewing TikTok, IG, Twitter posts. Um, if you are able to step back and because I suffered from that same issue. Um, Take a step back and be a person born within the past 7, 8 years, and you had the kind of parents where they just really weren't parenting, and they just sort of let you brain rot on social media, and you'll understand why they can and why they do, and why it's maybe one of their only senses of relief from a shitty life where they are largely unguided. And you're aware of a lot of it anyway because you're a teacher. And then catching up some more. Is that the one where if you venture beyond what's been created, it procedurally generates a new system in perfect detail and then goes live for all players? No. That is more in tune with what. Um, uh, I'm sorry, my brain isn't as great today. I feel like I'm pushing my CPU to overclock status just to talk as I have been. No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky does procedurally generated brand new areas. And that in itself is brilliant. There's nothing wrong with that. That is brilliant. Um, but that is for more of a single player type approach to large, galaxy or universe size sci-fi gaming. It's brilliant. I love No Man's Sky. It's great. One of my favorite sci-fi single-player games. But no, Star Citizen is uninstanced everywhere you go. Uh, Seamless interaction with multiplayer, and that took unbelievable technology. They literally were partnering with Spectrum from like Spectrum Internet, and had to change their game engine multiple times until they finally made their own. Um, it's madness. It's bonkers. It's the scale, that the one word that hits people when they learn about how big Star Citizen actually is scale. Scale is everything. Um, I am actually going to flop the screen so I can show you the ship that I um, purchased 9 years ago for my friends and I to adventure on. Uh, Show the damn thing. Show it. You need to show it, please. Please show the screen. I had it all set it up. I had it all set up. I promise I did. Um, Hello? It'll happen any moment now, I promise. Um, uh, eh. Eh? We can do this. It's fine. It's all fine. We're fine here. Let me get it pulled up. It works for real. I did it earlier. I promise it works. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Boop. There it is. Yeah. So to express why the scale is a big deal, or how the scale can be such a big deal. So this is the ship that I purchased 9 years ago to name after Asa and for all of the people that he gamed with and loved and everything to gather together on and be our home in space to adventure and then come back to and quote unquote live on in space while we're playing. Um, the Polaris is a capital ship in the game. It is large. Um, it is, in fact, it was one of the first combat capable capital ships that they managed to put in the game, and it works in the game now. So, like you're seeing here, a group of players. This is screenshots from within the game, by the way. This isn't cinematics. This isn't CGI that they made. Um, this is actual players sitting around in the mess hall, uh, fucking around doing what they're doing. And yes, you do eat and drink, and your body temperature matters, and you can get sick, and blah blah blah. It is a survival element as well. The scale of the ship, you can see there's a little guy in this little vehicle right here, this little cargo Bob, and he's leaving down the cargo ramp after no doubt unloading something. That is the scale of the ship. Here's a bit of art that they threw down a while back. That's a tank that's being loaded into the side of the ship. This is the engine room. This is a observation area somewhere mid decks. Actually, that's the brig. Actually, it's a brig. You can be a bounty hunter and you can lock people in the brig. It's pretty amusing. Or if somebody is just being an asshole and they need to be locked up in the brig, you put them in the brig. This is the cargo area. Here's the medical area. The medical side of the game is actually a big deal. There's literally organizations of players in the game who have already formed ambulance services, and you can pop a medical beacon, and they charge a fee, like in Cyberpunk, to come save your ass. So if you get gunned down on the battlefield, literally a trauma team can show up that you have paid or you have a contract with, and they can come and hold off the bad guys while they revive you and then bring you aboard their ambulance, which will, depending on the size of it, there's several different types of medical ships in the game. They can take you to a larger medical ship that has an even higher level of medical bed that can heal broken bones and serious injuries and blah, blah, blah. There's an entire medical side to the game. Here's the engineering area. Actually, that's also showing a bit of the torpedo bay. I don't give a fuck about the torpedoes. I really don't. It's not what I'm getting. Here's the torpedo bay. The Polaris has massive torpedoes. I don't even care. I'm going to use the ship for other things. I don't really give a shit. Here's a side of the, that looks like yeah, that's starboard side. Starboard side, showing some of the gunnery and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, and I'll turn on this video just to have something to look at. It's all very cinematic. This is done by a guy who is a real-life architect and does an architect's review of Star Citizen ships because, yes, they are that complex. I'm not going to have the sound on. Well, for the first part I will. Mr. Coles, welcome in. Hi. Thanks for dropping in. I hope you're doing all right, man.
Polaris exhibits a different kind of beauty than the kind of ships I've reviewed here before on an Architect Reviews, thinking of the 890 Jump super yacht you may have seen before. It's not about clean lines or delicate hull plating, but instead,
I'm
about
doing
the kind
somewhat
of
okay,
beauty that
Mr.
some
Coles.
prime
Let
didn't.
me pause this so I can talk to you properly. I've had one of the worst allergy attacks of my existence for many years at least, and I fought it off for 2 weeks, only for it to lose the battle and wind up with sinus infection. So I'm on allergy medication, antibiotic, and I've been whining about it tonight. I wasn't going to stream. I couldn't decide what I wanted to do for my cozy game, so I decided to just do just chatting and talk about Star Citizen, which is something that I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the future. Not anytime soon, but uh, it's been something in the plans for the last 9 years. But anyway, Mr. Coles, you never have to apologize to me for anything. I am not an expectations person, thus there is no disappointments. Um, I have I just love spending time with however many people stop in from the community, yourself included. Thank you. I don't do this for money by any means. Um, uh, all the meds, yeah, it's I worry that I'm stumbling. I like to think that I'm an intellectual person, but tonight I probably seem like I'm stumbling a little bit at times. Um, but I just didn't want to not stream. The my people that come in and see me regularly are used to seeing me on certain nights now, and I hate to miss those. So I thought I would do it just chatting, talk about Star Citizen and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Um, Dr. Julio, hello, sir. Good doctor, bestest doctor. Uh, I am very sinus infected and allergetic. Thank you for dropping in. It's good to see my community people. I was talking earlier about how people have noticed that I am a mod for several of the streamers in the community now, but I am just as much here for the community as I am for the streamer, and for me it's all connected. And our streamers are very good at acknowledging you know, I guess exactly that, that the community is part of it all. I just happened to land in a very good community. I actually started off in another really good community, and I'm still there a little bit, even though they've gone to celebrity status and a huge crowd now. And but Holly Rex, the celebrity DayZ streamer, I still drop in there and chat away with the people that I got close with there. And then I stumbled onto this community, and I've formed a real attachment to it, and so I appreciate being gifted that social side of things, and um, fortunately have not had to ban anyone yet. Not yet. It's probably coming. The Wodehammer's coming at some point, I'm sure. But I'm also very protective of our female streamers. Not because they're females or that they're weak and fragile. It's just that female streamers are the target demographic for the creeps out there in the internet today. So I am protective of them for that sense. Uh, my diagnosis. Well, the medical record is at something like 438 pages at this point. But anyway, you guys dropped in while we are. I just finished talking about Star Citizen and the monstrous game that it is, and the scale of it. And this is a video showing the ship that I purchased 9 years ago for my late son's friends and I that all have gamed together over the years to be a family on a starship, and I get to be the guy in the captain's chair holding the family together and adventuring across this vast universe that they have created. Um, and so this ship is all. Thank you, Miss Erica. I appreciate you. And I'm not just saying that. By the way, if you haven't figured it out, I'm never just saying anything. I always mean it, and I usually, because of my overclocked brain, have already put thought into everything that I'm going to say, which I only fuck up sometimes. Um, Miss Erica has been gracing us, even though she's working. She works and is able to drop in with an earbud and listen in and still be able to work and make a living. And she's amazing. She can do so much. But let's finish this intro bit on this ship called the RSI Robert Space Industries Polaris Corvette.
In battleships and cruisers of yore. That kind of beauty that comes from seeing so much firepower come together in one efficient package. It's only
Now, something I want to point out: you've been shown the scale of this ship. It's enormous. It is a capital ship. All of this shooting that you're seeing is all being done by independently connected players. There's probably about 14 to 20 players all actively in this combat. This is in game footage. This isn't a CGI movie that they threw together to show off their ship or whatever. This is an actual combat. You'll see down below there's another medium-sized ship that's docked down below, connected to a docking ring, and it was trying to get cargo or something into the Polaris, and then raiders showed up and they had to fight off the raiders. Um, there have been fleet level action battles, all with hundreds of players on various capital ships, all duking it out in naval style sci fi fleet combat. Oh, don't. Oh, please never worry about that, Miss Erica. We know. You are a working girl, for sure. Um, but yeah, let's continue the video.
one of the few times I've ever seen in memory CIG not just matching a concept art, but surpassing it. But it's not a pure success, with its interior at times falling a bit short in polish and detailing, or a little bit of extra iteration would have made some of the moments in there a little bit more memorable. So then join me as I take you on a full stem to stern tour of Star Citizen's largest combat-focused capital ship yet, where I'll show you exactly where I saw success and some room for improvement. If by the end you enjoyed this video and you want to continue supporting me so I can keep making such time-intensive videos like these, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button to show your support and maybe share with a couple of friends. Like in architecture, we're going to start our
So, as I was mentioning, I had this video up because I like this guy's videos. He's an actual successful architect in the real world, doing major projects around the world. And he got involved with Star Citizen because, again, here's the word scale. The scale of things is that he can go through these ships as an architect and tell you where CIG, the company that makes all this stuff, where they got things right and where they could have done things better. And they have actually reworked starships based on his reviews. And it is kind of neat to hear him talk about it because he's a player as well as an architect. And that will give you some idea of the scale of Star Citizen, how they've tried to make it a living universe, wherein you walk through, and yes, you can use VR, people do it all the time. You can walk through and get that immersion. I'm on a really big fucking ship, and it was designed for people to live and work on. Um, and so we'll leave that running while we're chatting away. And let me get caught up with chat because I feel like I'm falling behind. Test how big it is. Yeah. I rammed one of them a few days ago. Oh, Bloodjun, hi. I missed you coming in. Sorry. So yeah, Bloodjun also knows Star Citizen. We were complaining recently about them. Star Citizen recently reached its $1 billion mark of crowd-funded. Yes, $1 billion crowd-funded, holding the world's record as the largest crowd-funded program the Earth has ever seen. Yes, that's how much people love the game and are willing to invest in it. And for better or worse, They just keep making and selling ships, and we're just all really wanting the game to be done. I have had to. I have had to. I get frustrated with it too, because I was an original investor all the way back to 2013, and so was my son, and my son passed away in the time, and so it's easy to get grumpy about it, but that you I also try to keep an open mind, and from their perspective, here's one way that I've explained it. Imagine that you're an explorer in space, and the people back on Earth are saying, okay, we've spent a bunch of money. What have you discovered? Well, we found all this stuff, and we've covered the space that we wanted to cover, but just right over there, if we could just go a little bit farther, I think there's something bigger right over there. And so the people on Earth go, okay, well, let's throw some more resources. He's finding these new things. The explorers, they're finding these new things that are going to be even cooler. Let's fund them. Let's get them a little bit further. And then they get to that further thing, and then they're like, yeah, we found all this cool stuff, and it's workable. We can do this. But right over there, is this right just a little bit further? We could go a little further. And so that's they and they're also I was once part of a video game that was in development. I was managing an internet service that was owned by two brothers, and they were making a video game, and they were trying to do it with a small team, and the game was ultimately canceled because the march of technology. Every time they finished something, the technology of computers would change, and things would have to be rewritten and moved forward, and it is a maddening process to try to chase that tech so that by the time your game releases, it is playable on the machines of now. But marketing people will say, no, no, you need to make it for the machine of tomorrow. And that is a maddening process to have to chase. And if that's what they're doing. They're trying to make it all happen and workable, but for the machines that are going to be the top level machines when the game releases, for better or worse. And some of us argue with that a little bit. I personally think they need to stop and just perfect it right now. Perfect it right now. For the machines of right now, worry about making it workable for the tech of tomorrow when tomorrow comes. But for fuck's sake, release the game right now. I'm not on the inside. I'm not a game developer. I'm not one of those guys in there crunching it with AI assistants and trying to make everything work and keep the current servers playable, the playtest universe right now. Uh, it's a very big deal. But yeah, there's a lot of uneasy feelings about how long it's taken, but also a lot of fascination with what they have discovered and made work. So there's that. We're almost done. Yeah, good, good, Erica. Because every day that you get to go home and you're doing okay at the end of a workday, hurrah! And Bloodjun says there's ships they sold 5 years ago that still aren't in the game. It's true. That's very true. And that has become such a grump that they have said that their most recent ship, that is the biggest ship they've ever made, that costs $5,000 if you want to buy it right now. After you write a 999 word essay explaining to them why you deserve to buy their $5,000 ship. I don't know why they did that. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, they have declared it is the last concept ship that they are going to sell. And I don't blame them because it's made people fairly upset. Nobody's making anybody buy these ships, by the way. They tell you right up front, you do not have to buy these ships. They will be available for in-game money in the future when the game releases. No one has to buy these ships. People are buying them because They look at them and they have to have them and they think it's neat and they want it when it becomes available. There are some ships that are so large, I don't know if they're ever going to. I hope they don't have to refund all those people. Yeah. Um, it's quite an ordeal. It's quite an ordeal. But I'm invested, and my heart's invested. It's the space adventure I've wanted to have since I was 10 years old. Uh, and I don't want to be a starship captain so that I can be the star of the show. I don't want to be the guy in the captain's chair because I'm telling a bunch of people what to do. I have no pride in it. I have no ego in it. Because the truth is, in the sense of, in whatever sense that a starship captain is a real thing, I promise you it's a very humble endeavor. Because you're only as good as your crew is happy or content or living a life that they want to live. And Star Citizen is going to be interesting in the fact that it is so immersive and so real that people will actually be learning very important work ethics by being part of a crew in this game. It's already happening. Organizations, ships, all a crew full of friends with like-minded goals. It all flies apart if you can't get along. And so when I say I want to be the guy in the captain's chair, it doesn't make me any more important than anybody else on that ship. Period. Period. They're all my friends, and we're all there to have fun. And many of us have already learned the real world, uh, the way to keep the grease in the wheels that makes all of that work. You know, and so it's about having a sci-fi adventure with people that you care about and creating memories that you're going to have for as long as you're alive and maybe longer. um, as a young man, I was well, not even a young man. I had 13 years old. I was building Star Trek Starship miniatures, and when Foss's Starship Combat Simulator came out, I was building starships by numbers on paper to create them to play on tabletop in games with my friends. Uh, it's a long time coming for me. To be a starship captain. But I just want to be that guy in the chair keeping the family together in the type of adventure that we all want to have from all the shows and movies that we watched. A lot of it Star Trek, um, Babylon 5, Serenity, all those shows that we always loved where there's a group of space explorers facing the universe together. Those things are they're happening. They're coming. Happening right now. Yeah, when it exactly, Mr. Bludgeon. That's part of the push me pull me of Star Citizen. It can be so frustrating sometimes. There was one night I got almost 1 million in-game money of cargo on my ship, and I'm traveling, and I get to the end point to deliver, and I'm moments away from clicking on the transfer that would pay me my 1 million credits in game, and the server crashed. And it happens. But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Like any marriage or friendship, like any other thing that has ever tried you, when it works, it is fucking bliss. The truth. It's the truth. Oh my gosh. Yeah. 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 I have a couple of streams when I used to be just a YouTube streamer, streaming for charity and for the memorial dates for Aza. Several times I did Star Citizen, and even back then it was still it was I probably a little bit more buggy than it is now. But we very very fortunately ended up having one of those nights where uh, it didn't mess with us, and we just had a great fucking adventure and a lot of laughs, a lot of laughs. We even had the guy that's like a kid to me who was like a brother to Asa. James was in the game, and he talked his wife into playing. And she hadn't been playing for very long, but even she had a really good time. And it was just tons of laughs. It's so great. Okay, I'm gonna drive home. Have a good stream. Miss Erica, you know what I always say: drive safe, but don't drive like you're driving safe because that can make you make mistakes. Right? Just have a safe, fun drive home. Let's see. Bludgeon, I felt that pain. I know, dude. I know. Elif, come back to me when I can command a real ship across the solar system for a real $1,000,000. Yeah, this is as close as you're gonna get. But I have a comment about that. Let me finish reading. No death in traffic, please. Yes, we'll do. Okay. So, Elof, your comment about when I command a real starship across a real system. Okay. So, um, when when there was a lot of bitching about Star Citizen, I had one of my open-minded moments, and it unfortunately made me fall in love with the game even more. Which is a funny thing to say, right? Uh, you probably remember for a long time, space exploration was dead. There was no corporate involvement at the time. We're talking years ago. Nobody was going to the moon. Nobody was launching shuttles. Space and our romance with space was dead. There was not much driving. Space exploration, space anything. And that was sad for me because me being 55, a lot of my life there was a huge deal about getting into space. And along came Star Citizen, and I realized something. Star Citizen is something that can very, very, very easily cause a spark in a generation that's coming where they go, maybe I want to be involved with that for real. It is a very immersive, realistic way to light the fire about us getting out there again. And I love that. I love that. In my mind, we could use less games like GTA 6 that want to encourage people to rob and steal from people, and more games that encourage us to think, imagine if we could do this for real. Imagine if we could go make a home on another planet. Imagine if we could be an engineer, uh, turning wrenches on a real starship. Imagine if we could, and then driving that thirst to go out and do exactly that. And that's another positive way to look at it. Yeah, I grew up obsessed with space exploration in the exact decades where humanity had forgotten about it. Yes, yeah, it was sad. It's gonna take what I. It's gonna take what it took in Trek, honestly. World War III, survivors coming together, United Earth government, looking outward instead of squabbling with. I hope not. I hope not. I hope we can see that story and others like it from our entertainment and realize that we don't need to do that to get to that better place. We got to have some better leadership, that's for sure. We have to have the opposite end of leadership than we have right now. We need people with kind and good souls back in control. People still rob and steal in Star Citizen, but you also have the people who try to stop them. Exactly, exactly. One of the things that I've always said is good about people letting their kids play Dungeons and Dragons, because I was a DM and GM from the age of 12, I got to see that it forms decision making and forms consequences for actions in a way that is safe before you have to deal with them in real life. Role playing can be an extremely useful tool if somebody in the parental state of mind can say, I love that you're doing this, so what did you learn from it? And actually talk with their kids and say, you notice how your thief did this and then that happened? That's the kind of thing that can happen in real life too. You got to have a little sample of it in a safe way so that you learn the consequence. And it's the same thing in Star Citizen. Uh, it's not a really good idea to be a what people call a pirate in Star Citizen. People are very confused about what a pirate is in Star Citizen. A pirate in Star Citizen these days is often described as somebody who just runs around killing everyone when they try to land at a starport or kills people just to kill them. That's not piracy. Pirates do things for profit. And there are very good pirates in Star Citizen. There is. There are NPC legal systems in place where if you get caught committing a crime or killing a player who was innocent and had no crime record, you now have a crime record. And you can get shot down by NPC law enforcement, and then you get sent to a jail, and you have to spend your time in jail, and it's real time in jail, folks. Yes, Star Citizen has a truth and consequence system. You can get a wanted label, and you can go to jail when you are caught, and you will spend time in jail. And that's all there is to it. You literally have to be in the prison for the crimes that you committed for a length of time in the game. So, you either need to be a much better criminal and not get caught, or learn to enjoy the life of a prisoner in Star Citizen. It's a real thing. There's consequences. Them damn bounty hunters can't mind there's good money to be made in bounty hunting. Holy shit. I've had friends make millions in bounty hunting. Pardon my sniffing. My face is just I just plan to survive the conflict and be a part of the pioneering after. I hope the conflict doesn't have to happen for us to wake up. I hope that happens. We'll see. I just want to keep hope. I'm not unrealistic, but I just want to keep hope. Real pirates also had letters of marque. They were, at least according to their own government, legally operating. Yes, that's another thing that a lot of people didn't understand about the great age of piracy, was that a lot of the pirates were commissioned by the British Empire, trying to handle problems that they didn't have enough ships to handle. And basically, they were almost like bounty hunters in a way. They were paid to do a job and go interrupt this or that and protect this and that, and it evolved into something else. But yeah, it's so yeah, that was my topic for tonight. That was what I wanted to talk about. Not only did I want to talk about anything and everything that you guys want to talk about, but I wanted to talk about the future, so long as I don't die before it happens. The future in Star Citizen for me is a real one, and I will be spending a good deal of time there when that time comes. This ship that you're looking at, I already own it. I already own it. Thanks to donations from my friend, family of gamers, and then mostly me, I was able to buy it back when it didn't cost the $1,000 that it costs today. Yes, the ship you're looking at now costs $1,000 if you want to buy it with real world money. It did not cost that back in 2017. Thank goodness. And pardon me for just a moment, please. I have to go. My alarm is going off. I got to grab a medicine. Hold on.
With the left seat operating the rear top missile turret and the right seat operating the bottom rear anti-fighter turret. The forward right position is for the co-pilot, who has control of the flight deck operations, being able to operate the doors, and can even look at a view screen, a remote camera that can look around the flight deck itself to make sure it's clear and see if there's anybody trying to board. A feature that I hope to see on future ships that come into Star Citizen. It also can fly the ship when the pilot seat isn't occupied. The leftmost seat, of course, then is the main ship's helm or pilot seat. And finally, at the center is the captain's seat, which also has access to a radar holographic and MFDs attached to the chair to help the commander better understand the situation and give commands. The seat also allows for target designation to inform gunners of target priorities. But then, how useful is it actually in game? Well, I'd like to do a full video on this, but as a brief overview, in practice with all positions filled, the Polaris really does demonstrate just how cool Star Citizen can be. The Polaris to me is the first ship in the game that really scratches that Star Trek-esque experience itch, with different crew positions that have meaningful tasks to keep the ship in action. When engineering finally comes online as well, I think the whole experience will be enhanced even further. With the ship's 7 turret positions, one of which is a size 6, and 28 size 10 torpedoes coupled with numerous automated PDCs, the Polaris is a formidable ship and a force to be reckoned with in the current form of the game, even more so when the game progresses further. With capital components, its quantum tanks and shields also make it able to take a punch and travel great distances without refueling. Honestly, the ship's combat capability, though, like I said, really needs a different video. So I'm going to be revisiting this topic when the ship is a little bit more polished. Right now, the turrets don't work with pips, so it's really hard to use in combat. So again, look for that a little bit later on the channel. So wrapping up what's already turned out to be quite a long video, the ship's exterior exceeds all of my expectations for the Polaris, but its interior doesn't really follow that up. I think the corridors and general spaces of the main deck needed a little bit more identity and a bit more polish with that lighting, maybe by introducing some strong blues with accent lighting that could have been used to accentuate structure and detailing and provide contrast to an otherwise pretty well detailed space. I also found a number of examples where there were light casts with no clear light source being modeled, which was a little bit, it just didn't feel as polished as I think it could have been. After that, more contrasting colors like whites, dark grays, and blues could have done the interior.
Yeah, and so I love Morphologist. He just kind of says it how he feels. But he felt that, and again, I think this video's over 2 years old now. He felt there was a number of things on the interior in the Polaris that could have been different. I don't know if they've changed them yet, but when they designed the two following RSI ships, they were much improved. Taking all the good stuff from the Polaris and adding things that he did point out, especially signage. These ships are so large; it's easy to get lost. It's very easy to get lost. Let me catch up on chat. I want to do some piracy, but I want to do it in a way that's fun for whoever I pirate and don't ruin their progress. Yeah, and that's a tough that's a tough that's a tough one. For instance, a guy is doing cargo running, and he just loaded up all of his cargo. His ship is fat and slow, and he's trying to get out of the atmosphere. And somebody in a fighter, a pirate, self-proclaimed pirate, comes along, fires some warning shots, and says, "Give me X amount of money, and I'll let you go with your cargo." And granted, that's more warning than most pirates in Star Citizen give people today. Now that would be an example of somebody trying to do honorable piracy. The problem comes from the cargo hauler situation. What if he's a guy that works 50 hours a week, gets 2 to 3 hours a week to play? This is his only cargo run. He hasn't made any money. What if he says no? It's open PvP in some areas. when that pirate opens fire and blows up and disables his ship, takes the cargo or whatever he can get from the wreckage, and flies away, he'll have a wanted tag, and local authorities may catch him. There may be a punishment, but I have literally watched people rage quit, demand a refund, and uninstall the game from situations like that. So it's hard to say, isn't it? It's really hard to say where do you put it? Where does it fit? It's a tough one because lots of people want to do the pirate thing. It's a tough one, and I don't know the answer to that. People have said things like, "Well, join a protection org." One of the things that our org wanted to hire out to do, especially because we have a Polaris, is security. Run security for a big haul or something like that, or a landfall operation. Cool, like it. We also wanted to do search and rescue, where and if you do search and rescue, inevitably you're following a medical beacon and something caused that guy to get shot down. So there's combat that's going to happen there. So it's going to be interesting to see all of it. Let me go to the right screen. Um, yeah, it's going to be quite an adventure. It's going to be quite a thing. Who knows how it's going to go? Who knows how they're going to handle it when everybody starts squabbling like they do, like people on the internet? Um, True story. Let me catch up. Like charging those haulers a small protection fee. Yeah, I think people will be able to very successfully do an organized crime scenario where if you come into a certain area, you find out that it's pretty much owned by a bunch of PvPers that are really good, and they say, listen, you want to operate out of this base over here, over here, over here, over here, you need to pay the protection money. And some people are going to be fine with that. They'd probably have to pay for security anyway, right? Yeah, it just said there's all kinds of things that's going to be possible to do. The open universe is the blessing and the curse, right? Because you're also going to have just the assholes. You're going to have the people that are going to. My example of the guy with the cargo hauling, there's going to be a dude that comes up and just blows up the ship just to go ha 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 ha, and then sit there and have toxic back and forth. I've seen it so many times. You're going to have it. That's going to happen. I was thinking of just giving them a little love tap with a size 4 cannon, then letting them leave. Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the guy and he's not being an instant dick, because the cargo hauler doesn't have to be an asshole either. It's it's going to be a whole different venue because it's so realistic and it's so immersive, and in-game money is going to mean a much bigger deal. I personally think they're going to do what Second Life did and open it up for people to sell their in-game money for real life money. So then you will have people living a virtual world like they did in Star Citizen. By the way, one of the first people to make $1 million by selling virtual real estate was in the game Second Life. A lady designed an island. She purchased the island. She purchased the landmass with real money, designed a bunch of houses where people could live, rented out the houses for in-game money, sold the in-game money, made $1 million. Chinese woman. Brilliant. I personally think they're going to open that up for Star Citizen. I think they will open it up for people to be virtual landlords. There are ships that are going to be released, like the Gemini, that can be Gemini or the Genesis can be they're modular. The ships are modular. There's a lot of modular ships in Star Citizen. In a modular sense, they can add a bunch of habitats, and then they can rent out for in-game money. People can pay rent to live in that habitat in their virtual life in Star Citizen. And then if you allow them, the landlord, to then sell the in-game money for real world money, that person could make a living off of being a virtual starship landlord. Or, because they're doing base building, someone could build a massive base with a bunch of habitats in it, and people can come and pay rent to live in those habitats. Store their things there, fly their ship to and from it, do whatever they want to do, hang out with their friends, dance parties, whatever, like they do in VR chat or whatever environment, and have their own home in the virtual world. This, of course, opens up the problem, doesn't it? The problem that we see replicated in movies like Ready Player One. Sorry, did I get it wrong? Where people are living so well in the virtual world that their real life goes to the toilet, and so does their health. So, like anything else the human race has created, people are going to have to learn moderation because they're going to be able to live a fascinating life in this game. It will make their real life look pretty bad for a lot of them. So there's that. It's so realistic and so involved and so immersed that people will lose themselves. It's already happening in the games that we have. So what do you do? How do you fix that? Well, it's going to have to be addressed in school. It's going to have to be addressed as part of a parent's education of their child. You don't do a drug that's addictive and bad for you because of the momentary high. They teach kids that. You don't do this highly addictive game to the point of your life in the real world going in the toilet. It will be the same sort of education. It's going to have to happen. The virtual world is here. Let me catch up on chat. I'm really sorry. Catching up, sorry. I find myself being probably a chaotic neutral character. I'd probably do a merc for hire. Yeah. And mercenary for hire doesn't have to mean bad things. The example story would be something like the Mandalorian and Grogu. Guy's pretty cool, he's a mercenary. So, yeah. Elaf, search and rescue is lame. Okay. Blanket statement. Bloodjun, I've done some of that, but I didn't get paid. I was in it for the love of the game. Yeah, and yeah, you have to, and things will be different on the release of the game. There will be a player-grown economy, and you don't want to be the guy that doesn't pay, because that will put you on certain HoloNet feeds, and he will let people know, and he'll be able to prove it, that you didn't pay. And you don't want to be a guy that doesn't pay. That can bring you all kinds of other trouble. Don't be that guy. There's different forms of pay. Reputation is pay in itself. Yes. So, when I was in Star Wars Galaxies, I don't like to toot my own horn, but I was kind of a big deal. I got blamed for restoring the Galactic Civil War on my server. I created a city, and then I had a bunch of people in my guild, in my city, drop the largest base that I could on a planet called Locke, on this island. We dropped the largest bases that I could with the biggest turrets, and then I jumped on the forums. I said, come get it. And the two factions started fighting again. And it was something that had been lost because one side was working loopholes and being cheesy and made it so that the other side never wanted to fight anymore. And that brought that back. There was an unfortunate side effect to that. I caused a war so big that night that it almost crashed the Sony server. That was not so great. I was saying, guys, I'm not able to fight very well because I'm having a slideshow. I think my computer's crashing. And they said, actually, Komm, we're all slideshowing. And it caused so much attention that on the game forums from Sony, a developer got on and said, "Commissar, we're watching you," because they were worried I was trying to crash the server on purpose. I was like, "Oh, wait, hold on. I was just trying to revitalize the Galactic Civil War. I wasn't trying to crash the server." So, in that game, and I miss this person. I wish I had some way to get a hold of him now. In that game, there was a master bounty hunter that said, "Hey, listen, you're trying to do a big thing. Let me be your personal bodyguard." And I said, "Well, okay, all right." Anybody that tried to touch me, oh my God, he would ruthlessly track them, find them, and make their lives hell. he would he would make it so that they apologized. He wasn't being toxic. He was playing the role of a bounty hunter that was absolutely dead set on protecting the person and their reputation to the fullest extent. And I tried to pay that guy. He wouldn't take a credit from me. He wouldn't take a single credit. He said, "No, my payment is that I love this." It was really great. So there's going to be you're right. There is other types of payment. Um, True, true. I made friends doing it, so it was more than worth it. Yeah, yeah. You'll make friends in your adventure. It's usually people who are already crummy, who have already crummy lives and health, who want to escape into it anyway, and that is very true. Many, 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 many times in my video game investments where there's communities involved, like my 13-year casual investment in Star Trek Online, the last 5, 6 years of that being in PlayStation. Um, uh, I met some very lost souls. One of them was so toxic that when I was trying to stop somebody from being toxic, they chose to use, because they knew I did charity. I've actually done some Star Trek Online charity streams, memorial streams. And this person, it was well known in the community that I had lost Asa and I did memorial streams, blah, blah, blah. This one toxic person in the community actually took a jab at me using my dead son in front of everyone at this big event. Um, and I did not get angry at that person. I didn't rage at them and retaliate and be toxic in return because I knew by that person's behavior then and prior, I knew something had to have happened to them to make them that. And so what Elof said there is very true. When you see somebody who is a bad actor in a video game, it is a projection. It's a projection from somewhere else and something else. Uh, you'll know the guys that are trying to be bad guys for the sake of being a bad guy for the story sense. And for example, in Star Citizen, I have met guys who are pirates, but they are the honorable type of pirate. Okay? Here's a good example. A player was doing bounty hunting missions, bounty hunting missions, and he was about to kill the criminal and get paid like this colossal amount of money, like 250,000 credits for wiping out this guy who had a huge bounty on him. And the pirate comes in and shoots down the player just as they're about to make the kill. And the player was livid, fucking livid. said, dude, I was about to take that bounty and that was going to make me $250,000 in game. The honorable pirate guy goes, dude, listen, hey, I just do this for fun to be a pirate. I was going to take the salvage from your ship and his ship and make money. He said, how much did you lose? He said, that was $250,000, man. It was $250,000. The bounty hunter gave the player $250,000 credits. Said, yeah, man, I'm not being a dick. I'm just being a pirate. Here's your $250,000. Good luck on the next one. That's a cool fucking pirate. That's a cool player. That's the, and of course, not everybody can do that. But that guy had actually received a bunch of donations from very wealthy players for being a cool and honorable pirate. So he had a bunch of money to burn. He was doing it for the love of what he was doing, the love of the game. Right over your head. The joke is that I was a search and rescue team leader. Oh, yeah, I got to be search and rescue for a while too for San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. When I was a cadet, I got to do some search and rescue. We actually had to go out and find a missing Marine in the desert who was part of the Grand Eagle tournament, and he had got somehow left behind when his battalion left to go back home after the tournament. And unfortunately, we did find him. He was deceased, but yeah, I got to do a little bit of that too. A true pirate is just there to punish the bad and be free. I like that perspective. I like that perspective. And it wouldn't hurt if you were a pirate that was occasionally raiding convoys of known bad corporations, corrupt corporations. There's all kinds of things that you can do in Star Citizen because of the realism that they've put in place. For instance, you could capture the head of an organization, hold them for ransom, get into a big fight about it if you wanted to, and make money off of that ransom, and then try not to get run down by whoever they hire to get you afterwards. It's all the possibilities are there. All that stuff's in. You'll be able to do all that stuff. It's really something. It's quite a thing. And I'm looking forward to being a part of it. I hope I don't run into too many toxics. Part of the reason I don't PvP anymore is I just really got tired of the negative and toxic element. And unfortunately, much like the other Starship game or space game Eve, Eve is one of the most toxic games I've ever seen. There were just some rampant toxic assholes in that game. And that game also made it very, 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 very punishing whenever you got killed. And that was another part of the problem. I've shown you guys this ship, this Polaris. It's a warship. Am I going to use it as a warship? No, not very much. I'm not. In fact, I almost chose a different ship because the Polaris it's a warship. But I do love cooperative PvE combat actions on fleet levels. And what I mean by that is a bunch of friends getting together and surviving incredible things and finishing some big contract or PvE mission or rescuing somebody. Those epic things that you saw in sci-fi movies and shows where the hero ship has to swoop in and save the day. I unfortunately need a warship for that part of things, but we're going to be doing a lot of things. We really do enjoy doing search and rescue. We really do like the casual, relaxed cargo runs, which you can always get hit by pirates, both NPC and player. Um, Exploring. We have people in our group that want to be exploration, and there's going to be huge money in exploration because the universe that you can play in is so vast. People who are explorers are going to find wormholes that nobody knows existed, going to places that nobody knew existed. There's going to be places that are perfect for a mining operation to set up a base and make huge amounts of money in game. But the explorer knows the location and nobody else. So they're going to be able to sell that information for a lot of money. There's all kinds of things that are fun to do, and we're not going to be just a warship going around blowing shit up. The reason I chose the Polaris is the family. It has the gunnery to protect the family. It has the gunnery for the family to have fun in their combat stuff, but it also has extensive cargo room. It has a hangar for individual people in the family to bring their ships and park them. It has the ability to do tons of cargo hauling so that we can all just have a relaxing time making shitloads of money. Um, and the ability to be on the ship living as a crew, living as a family in however many hours per week we have to play the game, and just have a lot of fun doing it. That's what the Polaris is about. And or I initially decided, and then everyone else said, yes, I like that idea. The ship is going to be called the Azure Wolf. Blue was my son's favorite color, and Wolf was his call sign in most video games. Aza the Wolf, Sergeant Aza the Wolf. The Polaris is going to be named after him as a constant reminder. And I sure wish he could have joined us for it. But who knows? Maybe wherever he is now, he already has. Or as the way that time and relativity works with a box universe, maybe he is right now. And another eventuality of our own reality. It gets pretty heavy here in cozy corner, Comm's cozy corner. Woo! What's that you say about PvE missions? You need more hell diving. I could probably do some. I could probably do some tonight. I'm feeling okay. I haven't taken anything for pain or anything yet. That would probably help. I'm not a magic pill person. I don't like to do a medication thing. My doctors regularly tell me most people with the things that I have wrong with me are on considerably more medication. I'm choosing to not go that route. I have had relatives go that route, and there is always a cost, and the cost is usually a shorter life. And plus, with my liver, I don't react well to most medications. So I choose to not do that route, but I probably should take something for pain tonight. Um, but yeah, I could probably do some Helldivers. We've Elof and myself and his brother and Miss Mecca have been doing weekly Helldivers sessions, and I'm not going to talk about how late they go. I'm not. I'm not going to talk about that. That's ridiculous. But I have a great commissar uniform in the game. It's really good. Anyway, um, so yeah, uh, Star Citizen regularly has free fly events. So any of you out there watching this video, watching now, if you ever get tempted to play Star Citizen, you don't have to spend money. You can wait for a free fly event. If you choose to spend a starter package to throw more money at this game that it does not need, they're as low as like $35 and $45. Sometimes you get a little starter ship. You don't really have to. They've already made it so that you can purchase most ships in game with in game money. You could be a guy that starts small, goes in and makes a bunch of money, buys a slightly larger ship, uses that ship to make more money in game, and then buys. You don't have to spend real money to play the game. Um, but this is the warning. I will give you fair warning. It requires quite the computer to run it. My laptop is considered under spec from where the game currently is. So there's that. And currently they have nothing like GeForce Now to play it on, except a thing called the Shadow service, and people complain that it basically can be just as laggy because it's not the kind of game you want to try to play on a Shadow service. It's just really big. really, really expensive. Um, but yeah, I when it's probably going to be another 6 months to a year before I dive very heavily into Star Citizen. But when that time comes, it's going to be my main thing. Right now, my main thing is Dune Awakening, and I am loving it, loving it, loving it, loving it, and don't intend to stop anytime soon. But yeah, the end goal for Commissar was always to be the guy in the captain's chair, keeping the family together and having fun. And I hope people from this current community that I've fallen in love with, I hope that people from there will come join me. God, it would be awesome. Um, I have about a half a dozen to 10-ish people that are all committed to being that family on that ship when the time comes. And of course, everybody is playing within moderation. Everyone is playing as they can, um, which is how you should. I have no intention of letting Star Citizen put me so much in the chair that my health declines. I won't do it. I don't do that with streaming. I don't do that with Dune Awakening. I don't let anything put me into a chair anymore to where it's doing more damage than my exercise and my other things I do to keep my health. And so I always advocate for other people to do things in moderation as well. I'm not going to tell you how to live. It's just that I care about you, and I know the consequence of allowing the virtual world to destroy your health. So don't do that. God damn it. Um, I am. I'm gonna wrap this up pretty soon. I made it 2 hours. I wasn't sure with how I was feeling tonight with the antibiotic and everything else, and how I was feeling. I was gonna make 2 hours, but once again, the community makes me feel so great at just talking with people and being something for them to watch. I don't know why anybody want to watch me really, but I get talking with the community and hanging out with the community, and time flies out the fucking window. I thought tonight I would jump on, talk about Star Citizen for maybe an hour, and then because I wasn't feeling that great, I would just dive off. But nope. Here I am 2 hours later. Um, and on my cozy streams, I think that's about where I've been getting anyway. I've been getting to about 2 hours when I was doing Star Sand Island. I think. I was doing 3 hours on my Friday stream and then 2 hours on my Saturday stream. But I hope you guys all enjoyed the conversation. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed learning about Star Citizen. Whether you love it or hate it, it's a magnificent creation and it's not going to stop. It's just a thing that is $1 billion crowdfunded and getting bigger by the day. Moderation only put 40 hours per week into gaming instead of 80. If that works for you and your health, good. But trust me, you don't want to be that person to where where you say, I wish I would have done differently. Instead of saying, I wish I would have, try to be that person that's good to yourself right now. I'm not going to preach. I just care about people. I care about people in this community. Even though I never met you in real life, I've gotten to know some of you well enough, and you've been kind enough to me and given me enough good times that I care about you. So, God damn it, be good to yourself. And with that, as I'm 3 minutes away from the 2 hour mark, thank you again, everybody, for being here. I always say this, but I'm saying it again. I never just say it, I mean it every time. I appreciate whoever drops in to spend time with me and hang out and speak what's on your mind and talk about whatever you want to talk about. Enjoy whatever damn video game I'm playing, or not, as in the case of tonight. Either way, it was fun hanging out with all of you in this virtual wacky way that we do. And hang tight, I'm going to find somebody to launch you at. I won't throw you too hard, I promise. Here's a cool screen that you can look at while that's happening.